It is the Commanders Report mailbag here this week, and this is the segment every single week here on the show, guys, that I really enjoy because I get to have that two-way conversation with you guys, the fans of the Washington Commanders, where you guys bring your topics to me that you want me to discuss, and I can give you my best guess or my answer to whatever question you have to bring to the table here. And this is exactly why you subscribe to the Commanders Report by Chat Sports, guys. We have the most interactive community of Commanders fans anywhere on YouTube. We have daily poll questions that we put up on our community tab. We also put out daily videos where you guys can chat about the Commanders with your fellow Commanders fans in the comments section. And then we go live every single week as well, where we film these mailbags where you guys can have a direct voice in this community. So if you guys want to join the most interactive Commanders fan community anywhere on YouTube, this is the channel for you. Click that subscribe button and get in on the fun. Our first question comes from my man Eli Hokies fan. Says, which player are you excited to see? Jalen Lane, Trey Amos, Jaden Daniels, or Lawrence Cager? Out of that group right there, the person I'm most excited to see, I've already seen Jaden Daniels, right? I love watching him. The new player that I'm really excited to see, guys, out of that group is Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. I think that he is a pro-ready guy. I think he's going to be able to really play really well in his rookie season on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore. He is exactly the type of player that they needed, where, Jonathan Jones coming off kind of a down year. He's an inside-outside versatile guy. I think he's much better as a depth piece than as a true starter. And you replace him with somebody here in Trey Amos, who's probably going to start on the depth chart behind Jonathan Jones. He's going to have to earn the role that he takes on. But I fully expect him to have a good training camp and, the back issues that were reported on to not really flare up or anything like that. And I do think he's going to be a week one starter on the outside, on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore. So excited to see how he does in his rookie season. But Jalen Lane, watch out for him. He's going to be a hell of a punt returner for this team in 2025. Then we got Evan Underwood. Says, could you see Trey Hendrickson going for less than a first, like maybe a third next year and a 2027 second? I mean, maybe. At this point, I think if a team was willing to give up a first-round pick for him, I think he'd be gone. All right, I don't think the Commanders are willing to give up a first-round pick. And my kind of trade idea for him is I would swap first and second round picks next year. So essentially the Commanders send the Bengals their first round pick next year, but they get Cincinnati's second round pick back. Then you give them a 2027 fourth round pick and Dorrance Armstrong, so that they can replace Trey Hendrickson with a starting caliber player in their defense. I think that makes sense for both sides. I think that'd be fair. The Commanders don't lose any draft picks in terms of the total number of picks. It's not like they're going to be using that first round pick on a quarterback or anything next year either. So I think that would be something that I would consider there, Evan, kind of an outside the box type of trade idea, but that's probably what I would be offering Cincinnati if I were the Commanders. But let me know down there in the comments section, what's the percent chance that the Commanders land Trey Hendrickson via trade this offseason? Put it on a scale of 0, meaning no chance they land him, versus 100, all the way to 100%, which is they're getting him no matter what. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know the percent chance Trey Hendrickson becomes a Commander before the season. Then we got one from Ken Gray here. It says, with just $25 million in cap space, how can we extend Terry and afford Trey Hendrickson? Well, it's because the way that you do it, Ken, is because of the just $25 million for this season, right? In future seasons, you have more than $25 million in cap space. Plus, you can restructure guys. You can do all the different things that you can do to create more cap space. And I do think that you can absolutely pull that off. Like, the thing about you guys need to understand about the NFL cap is that it is so manipulatable, it's not even funny. You guys can, you can backload contracts, you can restructure guys' contracts. Like, you can do so much stuff to offload money down the road that it's just child's play. So you can make it work if you want to. That's not the issue. And then also, the NFL is making so much money from their new broadcast contracts that the cap is going to go up astronomically in the next several years, all right? So you can backload some of these contracts, and it's not even going to affect you that much if you do that. So I do think the Commanders can make it work if they want to. That shouldn't be too much of an issue if they want to make it work. And, hey, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, you might as well go out and go all in for it. Christian White says, what do you guys think of Conerly and his direct impact? Coleman moving over can help, but what if he does? But what if it doesn't? Listen, man, I think that Conerly is going to be an immediate fit in this offense because it's not going to be asking him to do stuff that he doesn't do very well. He's not the best run blocker in the world, but he's far from a terrible one. This offense is going to be very run heavy, or pass heavy, I should say, with Jayden Daniels. And then also there's going to be lots of read options that help out the offensive line and all that stuff. So Conerly, I think, is in the perfect fit for his skill set. Obviously, you interject Laramie Tunsil at left tackle as well, who's one of the best pass-protecting left tackles in all of football. And then I said from the beginning, if you guys have been watching this channel since last year, I said Brandon Coleman was his best fit was at guard last year. When the Commanders drafted him. So the fact that they're moving him in there, I think gives him the best chance at success. And if he doesn't have success, Christian, that means you got Nick Allegretti. That means you got Nate Herbig, guys that have started in this league that are more than serviceable to fill those roles on the offensive line if Coleman just isn't it this year. So I actually think this offensive line is the best that it's been in a very, very long time. This is the first time in a while that I remember feeling really optimistic about this group heading into a season. It's maybe not perfect or completely done just yet. They still need to make some moves, or certain players like Coleman still need to solidify themselves in this group at their current positions. But this is definitely looking up, and I'm really excited to see how this group's going to play next year. Before we get to the rest of the questions here, like the video if you haven't already, if you are a real one. And before we get into the rest of the questions today, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. And if you guys don't have a Jayden Daniels jersey yet, what are we doing here, folks? This guy is going to be a Commanders legend. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the next Commanders quarterback to be raising a Lombardi trophy for this franchise and for this fan base. So if you want to have his jersey for the rest of your life, you can make that happen for yourself right now by going to chatsports.com/Daniels. I'll put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. And if you click that link, all right, it has to be chatsports.com/Daniels, and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us here at the Commanders Report part of the proceeds. So if you guys want to check that out, get yourself a Jayden Daniels jersey in your closet today. Go to chatsports.com/Daniels to make it happen. Then we're going from Dan Bernat. Dan Bernat, I hope I'm saying that right, says in week 2, 3, and 4, we play against Josh Jacobs, Ashton Jeanty, and Bijan Robinson. Who worries you most, and what should we do to counter them this early in the season? Good question here. Really good question. So out of those three, the guy that worries me the most, I mean, honestly, all of them do, but the guy that probably worries me the most is Jeanty because the Commanders coaching staff doesn't have any film on him yet. And at that point, there's only going to be 2 weeks of film on him to go on. And he's tough, all right, because he's built really low to the ground, and he's got such good lower body strength that his contact balance might be the best I've ever seen. All right, so having a guy that's that short but that strong and that quick and fast and all the different things that he brings to the table, has a great vision, a fantastic jump cut, like a guy like that is just impossible to bring down. So the way you kind of counteract some of these really good rushers is that you got to load the box and you got to play bigger. So you got to have bigger personnel out there. You got to hope that guys like Dominique Hampton, Tyler Owens, one of those guys kind of comes up for you during the offseason program here because those guys are 210 pounds or bigger. So those guys can be enforcers at safety. And, Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner are really good run defenders as well. So, the Commanders are very comfortable playing in one high safety packages where they have a true box safety being brought down into the box. And, that's the way that you counteract the run, is you put as many bodies in there as you can to plug up every single hole and, fill all the gaps that you need to fill. And you just don't give them anything. You got to play disciplined football. So it's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to, these bigger defensive backs that they drafted last year. Can they develop into year 2? There's a lot of different moving parts here, Dan Bernat. Really good question. But I would say Jeanty's probably the one I'm worried about the most. And then when it comes to how to counteract them, you put as many bodies in there as you can, and you stay disciplined. Then you go Connor. He says, should we still trade for Jalen Ramsey considering Lattimore might not be 100%? I don't think so. I think Lattimore is going to get to a point where he's going to be, good enough to go. And then even if he's not, you can start, Jonathan Jones for the time being at the start of the season if Lattimore's not ready to go. And I think that he can hold up. I don't think that that's an issue. And if one of those guys gets hurt, Robert McDaniel out of Jackson State, you guys have, if you've been watching this channel, I'm championing this young man because he can do a lot of different things. And he played a lot of slot corner there at Jackson State. And I would kind of trust him to play there if push came to shove there. But I do think Lattimore will probably be ready to go week 1. I'm not too worried about that. But, yeah, I don't think it's a situation where it's like you got to panic and trade for Jalen Ramsey to make that happen. Then we got one from Andrew 2.0. Says, what do you think about Trey Amos' back injury? The Commanders aren't worried about it, and Amos isn't worried about it. So I'm not worried about it. Okay, now this is something that you got to keep tabs on because it's like if we get into the season and it's week 3 and then we find out, oh, Amos has a back injury, then it's like, all right, this is a little bit of a red flag. But, apparently he has no limitations at practice. They don't feel like it's a big issue whatsoever. So until it proves to be a problem, Andrew, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Then we got one from JG, says, how well would Hendrickson fit in Witt's defensive schemes? Would Witt make him a better run defender at the cost of sacks, or would he set him free on the quarterback? I think that Hendrickson would be just fine in this scheme because, it's four down front. He's very used to being in 4 down fronts. He's a bigger type of guy. He played that both in New Orleans and in Cincinnati. And he's a decent run defender. I would say what limits him as a run defender is he doesn't have the longest arms in the world, but obviously he is a disruptive force as a one-on-one pass rusher. And then when they do deploy their stunts in their games and they ask him to blow up an offensive guard so that Jazon Newton or Javon Kinlaw can loop around with how athletic those guys are and get after quarterbacks, like he's going to be able to do that too. So I think Hendrickson is actually the perfect fit for this defense because he does everything that they would ask him to do exceptionally well. So I have no problems with Hendrickson's fit in this defense. In fact, I love it, and that's why I would be willing to give up quite a bit to make him a Washington Commander this year. Connor comes back with another question, says, what position should we draft in the first round next year? It's way too early for that kind of question, Connor. Get me to 2025 before we start talking about 2026 here, my friend. But, just kind of forecasting a little bit here. Running back might be a position if Krosky Merritt doesn't show his worth this year. You got B-Rob and Austin Eckler, both free agents next year. It's a possibility they don't bring back either one of them. Wide receiver might be another one too if Debo doesn't play well. Noah Brown doesn't play well, and there's regression there. Tight end, if Zach Ertz retires and Ben Sinnott isn't what you were hoping you were getting out of him, maybe tight end is going to be a thing. Linebacker with Bobby Wagner, he could retire. You could need to replace him next year. Like, there's a lot of different things that could happen, Connor, but we just don't know what will happen in the months to come, so we'll get answers to that when they come. So tell me down there in the comments section, which draft pick was your favorite from this year? For me personally, my favorite was Josh Conerly Jr. because he makes the entire offensive line better. All right, they're better at right tackle now. They're better at left guard because Coleman gets to play in a more natural spot for him, in my opinion, at guard. All right, I just think that you get better along that offensive line in more than one way by adding Josh Conerly Jr. to this offensive line. So that's why he is my favorite pick of the 2025 draft for the Washington Commanders. Really good questions this week, man. Good bunch of questions. We'll have another mailbag next week, so make sure you join us for our live show next week. If you got a question and you want to get on the show and you want to get your voice heard, all those different things, you guys are the absolute best. Thank you to all the supporters out there that support our channel every single day. Click that subscribe button if you want to join our family today. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.